I never started with anything, so we'll just go ahead and jump in. I mean, I get super shy, so let's just go ahead and get started.
All right.
So, my name's Abisai, and you are?
I'm Keana Woods.
Woods.
Yes.
Such a pleasure.
It's a pleasure
Thank
to
you
be here.
for saying yes. It's been almost like a couple of weeks, right, since I've reached out to you.
Yeah, it has.
And such an honor. Like really, really.
I'm really happy to be here. I think it's so nice that you asked me.
It's crazy and really mind blowing how social media has an effect and could really change different lives and stuff like that. And by you being here, it's like really like changing my life because I really wanted to reach out to you. And I came across your video as I was watching TikTok, and just your story spoke to me. It it was just an inspiration. Just just seeing it and seeing like the impact it had on you. Just hearing a small portion of your story within like 60 seconds. Your storytelling is amazing, especially whenever you go to the descriptions of your playlist, which we'll get into eventually. But it just, I was in a point of my life where like I wanted to start reaching out to people and like capturing their stories, but I never pulled the trigger and stuff like that. And as I was scrolling through TikTok, I almost skipped it, but I stayed. And it is true what they say, like the first couple seconds is everything. And it just like captured me. So I just saw your whole, I just watched your whole video, and I'm like, you know what? Then I went to go see what you were all about and see your whole videos, which they were even better, like the way you describe everything and stuff like that. So then I went to your Instagram and I checked you out, and I'm like, you know what? Should I reach out to her? And I'm like, you know what? The worst thing that could happen is she says no, or she just ignores me and stuff like that. So I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna reach out.
Shoot
And
your
I
shot.
did, and I'm so glad I did because I was really, really excited to like. I've been waiting for this moment for the longest time to sit down with
I'm
you
excited
and hear your story
too.
because it's truly amazing. So we were just talking a little bit a while ago, and you mentioned that you were a military child.
hmm
How has that affected you now that you're a little bit older and now that you move through that phase of like not liking it as much and
hmm
stuff like that?
I think as a young child, I was very, very shy. Like I was very reserved. But moving, I think like 4 times it was, you kind of have to put yourself out there, if you want to have friends. So that kind of pushed me to be more outgoing. And I think that really helped me, I think, with TikTok because it's kind of intimidating putting yourself out there. And like you can't really, if you're public, you can't really control who sees it.
Of course.
So I think that's a big reason why people don't put themselves out there because it's kind of intimidating. But I do think that moving a lot and forcing myself to be less shy helped me in the long run, not just with like TikTok and social media, but just in life. So I am very grateful for it.
Um, and what first what sparked that initial let me start TikTok?
Yeah.
Like what drove you?
I had it for a couple months, and I was just like a passive watcher. Like I
Okay.
didn't really do anything, but I think I've always had this passion for music, and just I think that's what got me to put myself out there. I didn't expect anyone to watch my videos, just my 3 friends that I followed, but it's something I'm so passionate about that I was like, I just want to talk about it. Like I want someone to just hear what I have to say because I think these artists, are worth listening to and they make my life better. So I just want to share it. And my second video got 2 million views and I was shocked because, I've always been, shy, as I said, and I'm not used to like attention. I didn't know how to deal with it. But I think at the end of the day, like if you just talk about things that you love, people that are like-minded are going to tune in. So yeah.
So I'm assuming you had your playlist before TikTok, or
Yes.
how long ago did you start your playlist?
I've been listening to music. I've had like a little iPod since I was like 6 years old. So I've always been an avid listener, spending hours a day just listening.
When you first started listening to music, one of the hardest things for me is finding new artists.
Mm-hmm.
it's usually the same. Like the most popular artist is usually what I listen to because I don't really know how to find new music.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't take the time to find new music because I just don't know where to start. How did you start finding new artists
Mm-hmm.
and finding new people to add to your playlist?
Right. So I am always looking for music. So if I'm in a store or like I'm watching a movie and I hear a good song, like I will look, I'll look it up. I look at Spotify has like a Discover Weekly playlist that it makes for you, and that actually has some good recommendations. And also, when you look a certain artist up, it'll have like similar artists under it. So it has like recommendations, and then like, slowly you find yourself in this like rabbit hole of like all these different artists. And also through the playlists, a lot of them have reached out to me personally, like through DMs. And I have a job now actually where I review up and coming artists' songs. So the majority of songs that I'm adding now are from small town bands that are actually really good. They just need exposure.
Of course.
So that's how I find a lot of my new music.
How does it? How different does it feel to be on the other side now instead of you just being listening to the music and like enjoying the songs that they make now to artists like actually reaching out to you, actually knowing who you are, and like instead of you like, I'm not saying you would do this, but you know what I mean, like instead of you like trying to slide into their DMs, like they're sliding into your DMs to just to have that little extra power of like, you know what, like they want my attention.
Just for them to know who I am.
Of course.
Absolutely, it's insane. And I admire all artists. You know, it takes a lot to put yourself out there, and you know, I just have a lot of respect for what they do. So it's really nice and just cool to be able to have that interaction from people that you admire. And that definitely, I think, is a leading factor in why I want to work in the music industry, because I think it's so incredible to be involved in the process of it. And even a lot of them ask for like recommendations or critiques, like what do you think I should do here. I've had a lot of artists say like, I'm not releasing this song yet, what do you think before I do it? And like,
no way.
yeah,
Awesome.
asking for like tweaks and stuff. And I just think it's so incredible that they even like want my input. So it's amazing. I'm really fortunate, I think.
When the first artist reached out to you, how intimidating or how different was it to actually give your honest opinion?
At first, when I started getting like DMs from artists, I thought it was like crazy because, you know, I'm just, at the time I was like 16, 17 in my room, like, why do you care what I think? But
oh, that early.
I think I was 17.
Okay. And how old are you now?
I'm 19.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was just so bizarre. And but you know, I think you have to be honest with people, always respectfully, but they're coming to you because they trust that you're going to say what you think. And having a following, I think it means like they trust your opinion, so they want your opinion because you represent the people that follow you. So if I'm going to represent this following, I'm going to be honest. So I will say, like, I think maybe it could do without this instrumental here, or maybe you should try to raise your pitch here. And when you ask for an opinion, you know, you got to be honest, or else it doesn't mean anything. So I try to be as honest as I can while being as respectful as I can.
That's awesome. How savvy are you whenever it comes to music? I know you mentioned you play the electric guitar, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you sing?
No. I'm not like super savvy. I need to get more into like music theory and stuff. I've mostly just been a passive enjoyer when it comes to music, but I definitely want to get more into like the technicalities and understanding things so I can give better advice. So yeah, that's something I'm working on.
And so you're currently going to what school again?
Texas Women's University, but I'm transferring to University of North Texas next year.
And if an opportunity was to comes to you where like they like put school aside, are you willing to do it, or you just want to finish your school and like work your way like through school, or would you be willing to jeopardize school and like put it on hold for right now and like chase whatever opportunity comes your way?
Yeah, so my parents would have a hard time
Okay.
with that, but I think it depends on like the level of opportunity. Like
Gotcha.
obviously there's some things that are too good to pass up.
Of course.
Um, Ideally, I think I'd want to get my degree just for like the safety of that. But, you know, if someone says like we want you to go work, you know, in A&R or whatever right now and it's only right now, then I think, you know, you have to chase your dreams. You got to do what you got to do, and I think trying and taking risks is important. So I think it depends on the level of opportunity.
I love it. But Spotify aside,
Mhm.
what was your ultimate dream? What was something that before Spotify you pictured yourself going to school, and like what was that one dream that you had?
As a child, I always wanted to be an artist.
Okay, what
Um,
kind?
I was always painting.
Ah, gotcha.
But honestly, I think what I'm really passionate about is creativity, and like the playlist and putting a sound to like specific scenarios is a form of creativity, I think. And I couldn't really envision myself doing any, what's the word, just like traditional jobs.
Okay.
So I really was lost. I didn't know what direction I wanted to go in, so I had like a very general major. But through this TikTok thing, I have actually like discovered jobs that like, oh my God, this is something that is like a dream to me. Like it wouldn't even feel like work. And so it gave me direction in what I want to pursue. So I really didn't have much direction before this experience.
Since you mentioned that, is there a way you could give us like some sort of like jobs that aren't really heard of, but
Yeah.
through that research, you know, like maybe there's someone listening, they're like, oh yeah, I like listening to music, but like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
I'm not an artist. I don't sing, I don't play instruments, but I
Mhm.
really like the music department. Like, is there any jobs you discovered
Mhm.
through that search that?
For sure. So there's people like their sole job is to make playlists for Spotify. Spotify has like a massive following on their playlist because they're owned by the company. But they pay people to just make popular playlists. That's a job, playlisting. There's also a job putting like connecting songs to commercials. You wouldn't
Okay.
think that, you know, it's a big deal, but like if a commercial like the Super Bowl reaches, you know, how many million people, that that number of people are going to hear that song. So there's jobs connecting music to advertising in subtle ways. There's music in movies, like soundtracks, you know, people that make soundtracks. Music is everywhere, and it's not very obvious, but there's people that are employed to put it in those subtle places. So that's definitely something to look into, I think, if you're interested in that.
Um, what? How do you? I know you're super creative. How do you? One of the things I really really liked were the pictures you connect to your playlist to. That was like its own separate its own separate world. But how do you connect pictures to? I'm very visual.
Yeah.
Pictures speak to me, and every picture that I saw to your playlist, there was one where like that person's like sitting on the floor and like it's just showing the shoes.
Mhm.
Um, so amazing. How do you how do you how do you put photos
Sound.
with your
Yeah.
sound in your playlist?
I think Pinterest is a
Okay.
go-to. What I'm really looking for when I look at the pictures is something eye-catching and something that encapsulates the vibe of the entire playlist. Because I want the playlist, like even though all the songs are different, I want it to embody a general feeling. So I want a picture that matches that feeling. So that's what I'm looking for when I put those two together.
And now to the next step, how do you come with such creativity to name your playlist? There's one I had it. There was a playlist I was just listening to like through the the way over here, and
Hmm.
the first song that popped up had to do with the name Michelle.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
What's the name of the?
She will punch you in the mouth and
Yes,
ask you to keep the teeth.
exactly.
Okay, well, I think a lot of my playlists, especially the oddly specific ones, are made for my friends. For example, I have one called Happy Songs That Make You Forget You Hate Your Job. I had a friend who was working as a Walmart clerk, and she had a 10-hour shift. And we were talking about music. We were both very passionate about it. And she's like, yeah, I need some new songs. So I made that playlist for her oddly specific situation. There's also one called Only Time I Miss a Boy Is When I Swing and He Duck. That was because my friend went through like a very nasty breakup, and I wanted her to have like empowering songs to like make her feel better. And I think even though they're very oddly specific, they're general feelings that a lot of us have had, or we know someone who's like going through those things. So that's how I come up with a lot of my inspiration. Other times it's just a mood that I'm feeling,
Okay.
and I want to put a sound to it.
I saw you have numbers of playlists.
Mm-hmm.
Do you keep adding it? Do you like you said, you have a different mood and
Mm-hmm.
you just automatically make up a playlist for it and then you start adding songs, or how does that work in your scenario?
Sometimes I'll be like, okay, I'm feeling a certain way right now. I want a playlist for this feeling. And then I'll put songs to that feeling. And sometimes I'll be inspired by a song that makes me feel something that like I've never really felt before. And I'm like, this is such a unique experience. I want to put other songs along with this. Like I want to create something out of this. And the title will usually reflect how that song made me feel. So one of my favorite songs is called Cherry by Lana Del Rey. Mm-hmm. And it has there's just such an interesting experience to it, because the bass behind it, it's unlike any song I've ever heard. And I made a playlist called Trapped in a Horror Movie, and I don't know if I'm the victim or the killer, because that's how that song makes me feel. I don't know if I'm like the predator or the prey in that specific song. And I was just so inspired by the way just the effect it had on me. So that's why I made that playlist. And I think I center a lot of my songs based on either a feeling I have or a feeling a specific song gives me.
Have you always been this creative when you express yourself? Because just listening to you just express yourself about this song, like it's really detailed and it's really creative. And now I see why it's a little bit easier for you to come
Mm-hmm.
up with these titles, because your creativity, the way you word things, the way you explain things, like just comes out so naturally and stuff.
I
like
appreciate that.
Does it? Were you always good with what was it, like English, or like I don't even know how to explain it. Have you always been good? Are you good at writing? Let me put it that way.
Yeah, like articulation. I have always been in like AP English, but I think as a young child, I said I was like very shy, and I wasn't always the best at like being social and like saying how I felt. And I think I kind of went to art for that. I was very into painting and drawing, and I was able to kind of show how I felt and create things that mirrored how I felt as a kid. And I think that avenue of creative expression just kind of found different branches like through music, and it just kept going on. So yeah, I don't paint as much anymore, but I'm very much into music, and I'm still into drawing. So that has always been a way to express myself.
I was listening to your music, and I when I switched it from the one punching your mouth, I switched it to the rap one. It's like the two rap.
The vibey songs to rap.
Yes.
The vibey rap concert for two. That's what it is. Yes.
Your taste in music,
Mm-hmm.
so unique as well. I was listening to your playlist, like I was going through all of them. I really wish on my way back I'm gonna go and like go through every playlist as I possibly can. But it's hard because you get stuck in one playlist. Mm-hmm. And like it's just so unique, and like it's songs I've never heard before. Like that song Michelle, like it was the first one. It was the kicker, and I'm like, okay. And I told myself I'm just gonna go through every playlist and like play them, like skip them just so that way I could hear the music. But I put on that playlist, and that song Michelle hit, and I'm like, okay. And then now I get a better idea of what you mean. Like it makes you feel a certain way. I'm like, I'm really in love with this song. I
Mm-hmm.
screenshot it, and I'm like, you know what? If this song's super good and it's just the beginning, I'm gonna run through all the songs. So it was so hard for me to move to another playlist. How do you describe your taste in music? I know it's so diverse,
Yeah.
but some of the songs are usually the way they sound. It isn't like any like that I personally have heard
Hmm.
before. Is there like a way to describe like what kind of music you're into?
I would say definitely more alt music. Um, I'd say I'm pretty fond of literally everything with the exception of jazz and EDM.
Okay.
I think I'm into everything else, quite literally. Um, I'm more drawn to, like you said, you had never heard that song before. I think, some popular songs, they're popular for a reason. They're good. But my main goal is to put music on there that you haven't heard yet, but is just as good as popular music.
Of
Like, to
course.
give notoriety to artists that deserve it. They just haven't had, like, either the funds to promote their stuff or, like, they didn't know the right people, but they're just as good. That's my goal for that. Um, so yeah, what was the question focused on?
No, yeah, yeah. Like, is there like words you could describe, since you're really good at explaining, like type of music genre that you're into? I know you said
Mm,
alternative, right? That's
yeah.
alter.
So like alt rock, alt
Okay.
pop. Um, I'm. It's. I guess I could give you like my top like artists, and maybe you
Okay.
could like draw a conclusion from
Top
that.
5 artists and top 5 songs.
Oh
It
my
doesn't have to be.
god.
I know. Okay, we'll narrow it down to three. Then
Okay, three
three
and
top
three.
and three favorite songs.
Hosier, Lana Del Rey, and The Neighborhood are
Okay.
my top. The Weekend is a close fourth. Um, and my top three favorite songs, I would have to say Daddy Issues by The Neighborhood. I don't have daddy issues. I just want to clarify, but like that song is untouchable. It is untouchable. There's no song that can compare to like the composition of it. There's no song like it, and it will never get old. So for that reason, that is my favorite. I really like the song Video Games by Lana Del Rey. That's another one where it's untouchable and it's never going to get old. Like the instrumentals in that one. Have you heard it?
I don't believe so. No.
Oh my god. You
I'll be
need to
listening.
right after we finish this,
Oh,
you need to
it's
listen
going
to
on.
that.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. And I think for my third, I would say maybe Call Out My Name by The Weeknd.
Okay.
That's a really good one as well. Yeah.
um. n- I know you want to get more into music. Um, what have you learned? Since especially, I really love the fact that you're trying to, in your way, bring up artists, new artists, and like try to give them like the notoriety that they deserve because you
Hmm.
like them and stuff like that. Have you found, speaking like in the musicians like world, now that you're interacting with them a little bit more, like what's their biggest obstacle? Like what's one of the things that that um, holds them back from like their song popping up? I know now with TikTok and more platforms that are coming up, it's a little bit easier for like new artists
Hmm.
to if their song really hits and touches some sort of emotion, for them to pop up. But at this very moment, from what you've learned and interacted with musicians, do you have any like information on like what's one of their biggest obstacles that holds them back from like their song really taking off or their music taking off?
Absolutely. I think just getting their sound out there, getting people to listen is the hardest thing for an artist because you're competing with not only so many other artists, but like the ones that are already popular. They have the funding for promotion. It's just so hard to compete, but that doesn't mean that they're not necessarily just as good as, already existing artists with a lot of notoriety. It's just hard to get the funding for production, for marketing. So I think that's why playlisting is very new because it only existed along with Spotify, and the technological age is 20 years old or whatever. So I think that's why playlisting is such a just groundbreaking thing for artists because they have the chance to like promote their stuff to hundreds of thousands of people, whereas before Spotify, like if you didn't know the right guy or you just weren't like extremely talented, like it's so hard to just get people to listen. So I think that's definitely their greatest obstacle is just getting their name out there and getting listeners.
How important is building a relationship between the artist and a playlister like yourself, like how important is it? How beneficial do you think, in your opinion, since you are a playlister, to bring those two words to those two worlds together?
Mm-hmm. For those who have reached out to me and like I've reviewed their music, I think there is like a sense of like, okay, we know each other. I want to help you more, and like I want to try to help you promote your stuff more because I know you on a more personal level. It's not always necessary. Like obviously, I can't, reach out and know every single artist that I listen to, but I think it definitely helps when you have that personal aspect to it. Also, I think the line is really blurred nowadays for like personal life and music. So like if you hear that an artist was accused of like sexual assault, or like their personality is just disrespectful or something like that, the line is so blurred to where like, cancel culture, like you don't want to promote bad people. So there's been times where like I'm really enjoying an artist, but I hear like they did some sketchy stuff. So like because of that personal aspect, I no longer want to give them my platform. I don't want to promote them in any way. So yeah, I think on that personal level it can affect you negatively and positively.
um what I know, you started your playlist, doing recommendations for your friends, but what was that first, if you could remember, take me back to that moment where you decided, I'm gonna make a Spotify, where you first made your first Spotify playlist, and what drove you to do it?
Mm-hmm. Well, I had Spotify playlist years before I ever got on TikTok because it was for me. And I think that's why like my platform has grown so organically, was because it was always something that I loved. So I was going to do it whether I had one listener or 100,000 listeners. So what drove me to do it was my love for music and for myself. As far as getting people to like sharing my stuff, what drove me to share it was just, again, my passion for it and hoping that someone could enjoy it the way I did.
For people, how hard or how easy was it just to start a playlist? Was it difficult? Was it not? Do you recommend people starting their playlist? What?
For me, it's not as difficult because I'm so into it. Like it's something I do in my free time. Like it's something I enjoy. So it wasn't difficult for me. But as far as like, do you mean like starting, like trying to get followers, or just making a playlist in general?
Both, just followers and just starting it in general.
In general, I think it comes pretty naturally to me because it's something that I love. And it takes me, like, let's say I come up with a new idea. I can have like an hour's worth of songs in like, I'd say 15-20 minutes. Really? Because the way my brain is organized, like I'm always like it's like a library. I feel like I just know what sounds right to me. But as far as starting a Spotify account for listeners and like trying to become a curator, I think my greatest piece of advice is just be passionate about it, because there's nothing that makes me like more qualified than anyone else. I just love it so much, and I think people can see that, and they want to feel that passion too. They want to feel excited the way that you do. So that's my biggest piece of advice. The hardest part, again, is just getting people to watch and to listen, whether that's as a curator or as a musical artist. Just getting yourself out there is the hardest part. But I think if you love what you do, people are going to see that, and they'll tune in.
It might be super like self-explanatory and like, oh, like, why are you asking? But just what was the like equipment that you first started off with, and like what equipment do you need to start like your playlist, or like become a curator for Spotify?
The craziest thing was you really don't need anything. I was using my friend's Spotify account when I first started. So like when I first like made that 200 mil video, and that's what initially got me my following, I was using my friend's Spotify. So I wasn't paying anything. All I needed was my phone and TikTok. I have my own account now, but that's basically all you need: a Spotify account and time.
Gotcha. Now that you brought that up, please, let's talk about that little experience that you just had a couple weeks ago.
Oh my god. Okay, yes. So at like 7 p.m., I went to go listen to music, and my Spotify account like logged me out, and I was like, that's so weird. Like, all right. And I went to go play it on my laptop, and it said I was logged out as well. And I'd always had this fear in the back of my mind of being hacked, because I knew if I was hacked, then like I would lose my following, a possible internship, like it would just be a mess. So I texted my girlfriend and I was like, can you look at my Spotify playlist? Like, is anything different? And she goes, oh, no, it's the same. And then she texted me like 2 minutes later and she goes, actually, they're all different. They kept the titles the same, but all of my music that I'd added was completely wiped. Hundreds of hours worth of music and time just wiped. And it was all replaced by this same artist. So I was like freaking out, very upset about it. And it took me all morning the next day, but Spotify reset my data to like a day before and I got my account back. So it was fine. And then I started getting pizza orders to my house that no one ordered. And I was like, what? This is so weird. And then my great uncle, who I don't talk to, was like, why did you send like $300 worth of food to my house? Okay. And I was like, I did not. And then my grandpa called me and said, I just got 3 separate orders from 3 different restaurants to our house. And so they're like harassing my relatives in the strangest way because they were mad that like they didn't get my Spotify account, I guess. And then here's the crazy part. I get a call from my school saying someone left an anonymous tip saying that you're leaving hate speech and being like racist online. They investigated my account. Obviously they found nothing because I would never do anything like that. But they're like trying to get me kicked out of college, just harassing my relatives, assuming, I think that was like an intimidation thing, letting me know that they know where my family lives. And then they sent...
Oh, true. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they sent 6 pizza orders to my local police department in my name. All of these orders are in my name, by the way. So yeah, I was like, this is insane. I don't know what to do. And I contacted the artist. You know how I said there was only one person that replaced all my music? And I said, hey, I'm not accusing you of anything, but like, this is really scary. I don't know what to do. Like, do you know anything? And he said, like, you know, I'm not involved. I'm so sorry this happened. But another curator reached out to me and said the same thing. So he put me in contact with another curator, and we kind of talked about it. And we're like, okay, this is a serial hacking. Like, it's happening to all Spotify curators. A couple days go by, and sorry, I'm like shivering if my voice is quivering. But anyway, so we find another curator. So it's 3 of us. And I had a curator friend.
That also happened... So it happened to all 3 of y'all?
All 3 of us. And it's the same stuff, like contacting our school, the pizza orders, the threats. They actually got threatening texts. Like, it was...
to their phone.
Yeah, to their phone. Like, it was bad. Like, it was bad. Obviously, we all filed police reports, but they said, like, there's nothing we can really do because it's, like, internet crime. And internet crime goes straight to the FBI. So the police couldn't really help. And I had a friend. His name is... Well, actually, he asked me to be anonymous until this is all over. But yeah, he has a big following, like 5 times as large as I do. And he was like,
as a curator or just
as a curator. Okay. And I was telling him everything that was happening. And I said, look, you need to change all of your passwords, put maximum security, because if they're coming for my account, they're going to come for yours. And so he did. And a couple days ago, they started with him. They didn't get into his account, but like they started with the pizzas, they started with the threats and the college stuff. So it's just been a whole mess. But we are, I think, because we've all found each other, we don't feel as scared, because we know it's not personal. You know, like it's just they're going after the platform, not us. But yeah, it's just been like a crazy thing to have to deal with. Like, one of the curators like met up with an FBI agent, and like they all wanted us to file a report. And I was like, I just had a crazy thought. Like, I was doing college transfer stuff the other day, and I was like, I don't have time to talk to the FBI today. And I was like, did I just seriously think that? Like, what is going on? It's just all super like excessive and unnecessary. But I guess it means that we're all in the right direction. You know, if you don't have haters, you're not doing enough. So yeah, it's just been a crazy experience, but I hope it's coming. I think it's coming to a close.
Let's hope. At one point, did it discourage you to want before that artist connected you to the other curator that was going through the same thing? Did you feel discouraged? I know emotionally it hurt, like getting hacked and losing all your information. But besides that, like, what would have happened if it would have been erased and you wouldn't have been able to recuperate all of that? Like, how devastating would have been?
It would have
emotionally?
been so devastating because it's been like I don't know how long, like accumulating this following, and I felt like because of the following, like I had a shot at you know chasing my dreams and doing what I wanted, and because someone hacked into my account, I was like, oh my god, it's all over. I think I would always make playlists for myself, and I would keep doing what I was doing, but I didn't know if I had like if it would ever be the same or as good as it was. But I would still, of course, always do music. But I don't know if it would be on the Spotify platform, because I was thinking, like, if someone's just gonna hack you up until a certain point, like, I think it's time to switch platforms, like go to Apple Music or something. Just like, what's the point if there's no security and you're just always gonna get erased? But they were able to get it back, so I'm sticking with Spotify, and
Are you okay?
yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Have you thought about doing an Apple playlist as well? Or is it, because I know, like, doing all of that, it's super time consuming as well, like, and having two different platforms.
Yeah. As of right now, I'm only doing Spotify, but I don't know if in the future, if it became like a full-time thing, maybe I would do both, because I know those are the main platforms. But when I tell you I add like 15 songs a day and rearrange things like 5 times a day, it would just be so much to have to do it like twice. So I don't know. We'll see.
And to finish it off, because it is kind of chilly, what is your biggest goal you see yourself, like, what is like your ultimate goal, like dream or goal you have in mind, like just in general? And who is your top like artist that you really would like to meet and like interact with and just like collaborate with, or just have that communication of relationship, friendship with artists that you want to do? And what's your ultimate goal?
I think my ultimate goal would be to work in the music industry as someone who like makes soundtracks, stuff like that, putting sounds to experiences. That's something, I'm doing in a different way right now. So that would be my ultimate dream job. And I think an artist that I would love to meet is Hosier. I know I've talked about him with you, but that is the most majestic man. I swear to God, like, if you haven't watched Hosier talk in an interview, just the way he articulates himself and his mind, I greatly admire him. And I think his lyricism, if you haven't like looked into it, it's just incredible. I think he's one of the best songwriters of our time, honestly. So I would love the chance to meet him.
Amazing. And what's right now, to finish it up now, what is your biggest obstacle, or what's something that is holding you back from like reaching those goals? Like, it might be the experience, or it might not be the knowledge, but what is something right now that is holding you back? And if you could have someone or something help you, what would it be?
I think right now it's just again, like, the biggest struggle for like curators and artists is just putting content out there that gets people's attention. So like, not every TikTok is a hit, so it's just finding a way to deliver your message in a way that people want to listen. So I think that's the biggest struggle. And also just time, because I have a job and I'm a full-time college student, so it's just juggling those things.
And is there anything that would help you? Like, I know we can add more time to it, but is there something that would help you like get closer to your dreams if you were able to like have it? Like, what would it be?
Honestly, I think maybe being in contact with more TikTok curators, so we could kind of like, I don't know, talk each other up and like share our audience together. I think that'd be cool. And honestly, like, even though this hacking situation was horrible, I met like 3 other curators because of it, and now we're all like friends because we have like that trauma bond. So yeah, so in a way, like, it kind of helped to some degree, inadvertently. Yes.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much. I know it got cold, so
Mhm.
thank you so much. It really was such a pleasure to have you here. It really means a lot. Um, I can't wait to hear more of your music. 'Cause it's really amazing, and I'm telling you, one day you'll meet
Hosier.
Hosier. Yeah.
I hope so. Thank you so much for having me. This was really fun.
Thank you.